Hello, Internet, and you read that title and you went, oh no. Alright, so I'm kind of shooting from the hip today. It's going to be a short little video to talk about a drama that's been happening recently, and I kind of want to throw my hat into the ring because I'm actually kind of getting annoyed with this emotion. And if you'd like to fund my legal defense fund when all the T channels come after me, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Okay, no, but let's talk about what's going on here. So, Eugenia Cooney. I'm sure we've all, processed this story kind of. I know for me, I've kind of sucked it in through the osmosis of the internet. By that I mean, I haven't really paid attention to it. It's just been one of those things that's happening in the background. So I've based my opinion off of the opinions of other people, assuming that these people have the best of intentions. Nope. I really hate this because I see this, I guess it's kind of in commentary as well as the tea community, but there's like this faux caring. Yeah, I talked about this with the Nikocado thing, where it's like people say they care about a person's health, but really it's just a way for people to bully and say rude things to somebody on the internet. And I know Nikocado isn't the kind of person you want to go and defend, but let's call a spade here. These people don't give a shit about his mental health or any of that. They want to make fun of the fact that he's overweight and he's eating a lot and he's a disaster. And that same thing has been happening in reverse to Eugenia Cooney, where people are saying that they care about her health and, talk about her having to leave the internet because, she suffers from an eating disorder. For some reason, people talk about this on the internet like in hushed tones. I guess YouTube demonetizes the content and does all that. So I'll find out whether or not that happens to me. But I think I'm taking a pretty neutral approach here. And the idea of talking about these things on the internet doesn't mean that, I'm promoting or anything like that. But, it's not like YouTube cares about context anyway. So a guy by the name of Willie Mac, if you follow commentary, you might have seen his videos before, did a video talking about this and basically how the T channels have kind of missed the mark here. And I don't want to repeat what he said in his video because he's done a really good job in that and he should get all the clout in the world for that, because he did a lot of great work for it. But I'm just gonna give the internet a single question to really think about here. And we'll talk about the girl who's involved with the beef against Willie Mac in a second, don't worry. But, this is something I've thought about, right? And maybe for Nikocado, yeah, I understand that if he didn't have a channel, maybe he wouldn't be producing his content. However, he does have other avenues, and I think he would just go full-on adult content if you took away his YouTube channels. For Eugenia Cooney, right? If someone's dealing with these demons, right? If they're dealing with that, and they're struggling with that, and they're going on that personal journey, which is a lifelong journey for a lot of people. I deal with my own personal demons. I'm not going to talk about them here on the channel, because any sign of weakness is an opportunity for some stranger on the internet to take advantage of me. But, I deal with things, and I don't talk about them, but they're there. And, I deal with things that, I understand a little bit of where Eugenia Cooney is, and I have people very close to me who've dealt with things like that, so I'm not gonna judge somebody for that, and I don't really see why anybody else should either. We're all on our journeys. It would do our best to focus on ourselves and support others along the way. That's all I'm saying. But a lot of these T channels have basically called for Eugenia Cooney to have her channel taken down in a way based on the idea that her content is pro-Anna or pro-eating disorder, basically that she's encouraging her audience to do that. And I honestly don't believe that. Based, again, off of the Willie Mac video, but then also having just gone and looked at the content myself, it's pretty, I don't know, inoffensive. And really the counter argument to, oh, she should have her channel taken away is that if it isn't pro-Anna, why should it be taken away? To which the community that says that, oh, it should be taken away is that, oh, it triggers my eating disorder and those things, And at a certain point, we gotta leave it up to the person, the individual in charge of themselves, and say that if this kind of content is going to bother you, if it's going to trigger you, if it's something that is an issue for you, don't watch it. Don't expose yourself to it. You could have YouTube not recommend a channel ever again if it shows up in your recommended, if it's something that shows up there, So you could remove it from yourself. There are channels that I've removed from myself because of things I've dealt with and stuff like that. There's no problem with that, and there's no shame in doing that. And then on Twitter, you can censor specific words, tags, and phrases, so that way you don't have to see those things. And on Instagram, you can also mute accounts so you don't have to see their post or anything like that, and you won't get recommended those things. So, you know, there's ways to do this and help yourself. As a person, as an adult, as somebody who has to deal with things and deal with their past and all that, what you have to do to improve yourself and help yourself in life is to build an environment that encourages and builds you up to be a better individual. So if Eugenia Cooney's, you know, content puts you in a position where you feel worse about yourself, or it encourages you to engage in habits you don't want to engage in, or engage with things you don't want to do, then maybe take that out of your environment so you can build a better environment. But Eugenia Cooney's existence should not be removed from the internet because it bothers you. People with anorexia and people that deal with eating disorders are allowed to exist online. As long as they're not promoting a habit that is bad or dangerous to somebody else, there's no reason you should take that away from them. And the whole think of the kids argument is just like one of the worst like misnomer boomer arguments ever. It just is not, it doesn't fly. It's not a good argument. I mean, if there are any 13, 14-year-olds watching, now at least they're technically savvy to understand what they need to do, but I also don't think that 13 or 14-year-olds are that stupid that they wouldn't know that they can't, you know, block that content, because, I mean, let's be real here. We're putting iPads in toddlers' hands, and they already know how to use the internet, okay? But let's kind of bring this back to Eugenia Cooney for a second. Let's be real here. If you are struggling with something like an eating disorder, you know, and I can talk about, you know, a little bit with my struggles, with my internal demons, with those things that I'm trying to fight off and be better than those worst parts of me, right? With those things, right, if I lost my channel, if I lost my creative outlet, would that encourage my better habits to succeed in life? Yes or no? No, right? Okay, this seems like a no duh kind of thing, but if somebody is struggling with a thing, if you put them in a worse off position than they were when they started struggling with that thing, they're not going to get better. If this is how Eugenia Cooney makes her money, if this is how Eugenia Cooney expresses herself creatively as an individual, if these are things that are an outlet for her, then maybe taking it away from her won't encourage her to get better or do things that are better. You know, honestly, and it's so ridiculous because the internet is so negative. It's crazy. It's almost like the discourse around this has been built in such a way that it is making it more of a struggle for the person. And that is so shitty, because there's no reason why Eugenia Cooney shouldn't have a inviting, kind community. Because for what it's worth, some of you guys are fucking idiots. But, you know, on the other hand, you're all very adult and professional most of the time. You know, that's there, and it makes me feel good when there's like comments that are like paragraphs long, even if they're disagreeing with me, thinking about the topic and engaging with it. And that's something I look to encourage and look for, and it makes me feel good about the stuff that I do here. But you know, as somebody who is really focusing on their channel to help their life, who's in a position in their life right now where they're working with their channel to try and make their life better, who sees this as a gateway out of poverty, and that's something that I do. I do see it as that for me. You know, that's part of it. When I see those things, I'm like, oh, you know, if I lost my channel, the things that I'm dealing with wouldn't get better. It would. I'd have no way out. I'd feel very lost, and I don't know what I'd do with myself. So let's talk about that faux caring thing, that fake caring, right? This happens a lot on the internet, I've noticed, and I think it's a way for people to like kind of take a moral high ground in arguments on the internet. You know, it's hard to tell because some people actually care and then others don't, and you can't really tell. But I'm going to tell you right now that if it's me versus like 10 million other people, I'm going to have to pick me because I'm me first. So, you know, there's that. I can't speak for anybody else, but, you know, I can speak for myself, and you know, I got to look out for me and the people that I love first. And that's where we come to Pastel Bell, who like tangentially responded to Willie Mac's videos and then didn't. Wasn't specific about any of her points, or just ignored most of them, or really cherry-picked the arguments and all this stuff. There was like the mention of politics and how Willie Mac doesn't like the idea of deplatforming. of which I would agree with Willie Mac that deplatforming is bad. That is my opinion. Others can disagree. However, she used this as a way to discredit Willie Mac. Listen, guys, the marketplace of ideas allows for the good ideas to prosper at the end of the day for a lot of these things. And ironically, this has worked against Pastel Bell because I don't think a single person is on her side. She comes off as very disingenuous after the Willie Mac video, where if you watched it and then you watched her response to it, it almost comes off as if she didn't watch any of it. But she definitely did, because you could see her navigating around the ideas and opinions in it. She's incredibly disingenuous and is apparently getting into making political content, which, hey man, however you feel about political YouTube, you do you, but it's a cesspool. Boy, is it really just awful. I just don't like the idea of seeing people say they care, but then also encouraging all this like weird anger and angst at a person for just doing content on the internet, you know? And it's crazy how just this entire culture and community is sprung up around deplatforming her when she's not doing anything. I'm loosely quoting a thing from Odie Plays here, but there was this thing that one of them said where it's like, you know, back in the early days, you know, people treated the internet like it was its own separate thing, but now everybody treats the internet like you're in their fucking living room and that you have to abide by their house rules. The reality of it is, when somebody in the comments says something absolutely butt fucking sane, I just go, what a fucking idiot, and then I go on with my day. But so many people don't treat it like that. And I understand that people want to have a good experience on the internet, but then at the end of the day, the internet's the internet, man. The internet's the internet. That's what I'm gonna say. Anyway, this is a little off the cuff video, but I just want to get my feelings out there, and I'll leave a link to Willie's videos down below. And with that said, goodbye, internet.